it's still the spotlight on Kaftan Television, and welcome from that break. Now let's get into the conversation. Like I said before the break, it is that time of the year again for Nigerians to get to decide, and we already see so many dramas. But we'll bring in Mazi Nnamdi Urebu, who is a PDP aspirant for the House of Representatives and also a PDP chieftain. He joins us visually to help us understand better what is going on in the political space, and of course his own party, the People's Democratic Party. A very beautiful evening, Mr. Mazi Nnamdi, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Chinaza.
Thank you so much for joining us.
To be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, let's start from the beginning. What is driving your decision to contest for the House of Representatives in 2027, and why now? Why this particular time?
Why not now? We have had challenges from my own constituency, particularly Bombise Ngobala Federal constituency. Well, since the former Deputy Speaker left, who represented us in the Federal House, we haven't had any quality representation, in the Green Chamber. So at this time, my people have yearned for different direction and beckoned on me to say, come back home and, stand in for your people. And I have answered that call. So it is the right time, and I am committed to that.
Now, one would wonder again, what do you have to bring to the table? What do you think you're going to do differently that the current representation is not doing right?
It's about representing the people, because if you look at the 10th Assembly and what it represents thus far, you will be very fair to say that they haven't done well representing the interests of the people. And this has nothing to do with just my own constituency. Lots of them in there, in the present chamber, in the 10th Assembly, have not done well. I personally, by my experience and exposure within this arena, the political arena, and of course, my sojourn within the Abuja axis and all of that, I know what door to knock, I know what to say, I know things that will better the lives of my people. One of the things that personally I have started talking about already is equity, justice, and fairness. Because if we must build an egalitarian nation, then equity, justice, and fairness must be on the table. You must, ensure that all citizens of the country have that sense of belonging in this space called Nigeria. If I get the opportunity to be in the Green Chamber, one of the things I would say clearly, for healing processes to commence, because this distrust that runs deep, amongst Nigerians has to be cut to a halt if we want to build a great nation. We don't trust ourselves, and we don't have that sense of, ensuring that everyone believes in fatherland. We don't have that. So pushing, for instance, that this country recognizes a day set aside to remember the unfortunate Biafra war that happened. That is important for us. Because you cannot pretend about it. This nation has pretended enough. Look at Rwanda. Our leaders go to Rwanda and they go to the museum and, see events that unfolded during their own unfortunate war and how that they have healed and reconciled and building a great nation. But we here, we're pretending that civil war didn't happen. We're pretending because people have not been able to engage, for that very purpose. So that if you set aside a day that says all Nigerians, no matter where you are, take a little moment and reflect on what happened between 1967 to 1970. And then after a moment, we declare that never again, so that everybody would have that feeling that you empathize with the people, because it doesn't seem to be like that here. And that is why if anybody comes up to say, oh, that you're not treating my people fairly, and since you're not treating my people fairly, like the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I wouldn't be in the Green Chamber and watch him go to prison for just simply saying that Nigeria is not fair to his people. And if they are not fair to his people, then they should allow them to exit. That should not be a crime, all right? Rather, what should have been done is address the issues, the concerns raised, and all that. So these angles, I come with a very convinced point of view that this nation can be great, but not by us pretending that certain things have not been done properly. You know, so a lot, which may not necessarily be reeled out here. I know what my people are desirous to, have in Nigeria. We want to have a nation where no man is oppressed, and that is my focus.
All right. So, you're running for this current position under the People's Democratic Party, and one would wonder and ask why the People's Democratic Party, knowing fully well the state of PDP right now. Even Senator Godswill Akpabio the other day made some comments by saying PDP is gone. So one would wonder, despite the leadership crisis in PDP currently, why do you still choose to run for this position under PDP?
I believe in what PDP stands for. That's one.
Okay.
I believe that comparing notes now, that comparing the 16 years of governance by PDP and the about 10 or 11 years going to 12 years governance of the APC, the difference is clear. I believe that the People's Democratic Party, represents that, angle that has to do with ensuring that all citizens' interest is captured. Because sometimes we should take a pause and ask ourselves, is Nigeria cursed or are we the curse? It's important we ask ourselves those questions, because if not, what is it that is really our challenge? Yeah, you refer to the speaker, the Senate President comments made about PDP and all of that. I have said to some of his aides, I said, the only thing that gave Akpabio the uncommon status that he enjoys in our country was given to him by the PDP platform. All of them that came from the PDP, who are the champions that we made, are about the only ones that seem to be delivering anything, if there is any that APC has delivered thus far. PDP is faced with crisis, yes, but is Nigeria not faced with crisis? Nigeria is faced with crisis, and there are those who are jackpot out of our country, haven't given up on the country. If all of us were to exit the country, who will fix it? So if all of us were to decamp or defect from PDP to another political party, so who will fix it? For me, PDP is a legacy party, and it's important for me personally as an Igbo man, because recall that the founding father of the People's Democratic Party, and this cannot be disputed by anyone who is sincere, is the former vice president, Dr. Alex Ekweme, who at the Abacha conference in 1995, proposed the sharing formula within this, proposed the 6 geopolitical zone arrangement in Nigeria, which hasn't been captured in our constitution yet. But of course, the rotational thing was captured in our constitution, the People's Democratic Party constitution. So for me, therefore, this angles represents why I have, a personal affinity with the People's Democratic Party. Again, I think that the challenges the party has faced thus far is it's an external influence thing that brought about fifth columnists, because it's public knowledge, really, that PDP's crisis, unlike other political parties that are faced with crisis, is as instigated by the government of the day. Government of the day who has somehow muzzled up everyone, and now, like you rightly said, about 33 governors, even if they have 36 governors, the president and his handlers are still very scared of contest. And that is why the PDP crisis has festered. So, yeah, the roof of my house is leaking. Should I back to my neighbor's house, or rather stay in there and fix the roof? That's why I'm in the PDP. And I'm optimistic that the party will eventually get out of this whole crisis, because all that they have tried to do is frustrate someone who I support tomorrow, even though he's no more in my party now, that is Mr. Peter Obi, to be president of Nigeria. They did all that to ensure that he doesn't get the platform, the People's Democratic Party platform. So that should he get that platform, they know that the only political party that has that grassroots structure that we all talk about, APC even doesn't have it. The People's Democratic Party has that. So if we get a quality candidate to run for 2027, the current administration will be as good as gone. That is why they have done everything to destabilize the party. But
I mean, if you can hear me, it's fantastic to know that you're optimistic.
We have to stay back, like we have stayed back in our country to fix it. We have to.
Mazi, are you still there? Can you hear me?
You. Yes, I can hear you now. I lost you a bit. I didn't hear the
yes,
question.
I also did too. Now, I was saying it's fantastic to know that you're very optimistic about PDP getting its house in order. But then again, don't you think that the current leadership crisis in PDP would affect your chances of making it to the Nationals?
I don't think so. And there's no desperation in this. The intention is to serve my people. I also want to serve with character, consistency, and commitment. I don't want to be known as that politician who jumps from one party to the other in the name of looking for a slot to serve his people. It's about service. There's no desperation in it. I think sincerely, every citizen of our country should be concerned about the plot to kill democracy in Nigeria. Because should PDP not be on the ballot in 2027, it should clearly, play out to us that democracy is just about to go extinct in our country after all. So for me, I am optimistic. Of course, the conversations are going on already. The issue of reconciliation is already being discussed. Of course, you know that the appellate court ruled and left the party without a leadership. Even though we still see the FCT minister, who is enabled by the president, continue to express the rascality that has gotten the party to where it is today. It's just the impunity within the Nigerian state that has allowed this crop of, acclaimed leaders to be parading themselves as so. Because what is it that is the challenge? And I have said this on different platforms. I said, the president doesn't seem to understand that one of the ways to fight insecurity is to ensure that political parties internally respect internal democracy. Meddling in the affairs of political parties and also putting in destabilizing angles in political parties can also be a means of escalating the insecurity in the land. Because if you have muzzled everyone up and expect that people will not react and all of that, then you're lying to yourself. I don't think the president understands the import of attempting to destabilize political parties. Because if you say the president is not involved in it, then who is? Who is the minister for FCT? So
how is the president involved in, because members of your party who have left the party cited leadership crisis, the reason why they have to leave the party, and to also enable them continue serving their people. So when you mention the president being involved in the leadership crisis of People's Democratic Party, one would wonder how exactly.
It's obvious. It's an open secret. I stated that earlier. The FCT minister works for the president, and he is directly involved in this crisis. I'm saying that he's directly involved in this crisis, and he's working for the president. And if he's involved in this crisis,
are you saying
the president call him to order if he is not directly involved in it?
So you're saying that Wike destabilized the party on the stand or the order of Mr. President? Is that what you're saying?
If he wasn't on the order of the president, have you not seen the interview by the governor for your state?
To destroy PDP, that's it.
No, but have you not seen the interview by the current governor for your state, who stated clearly that in their meeting with the president, that Nyesom Wike told the president that he would hold PDP down for him for 2027. And that is exactly what he has done or what he is doing. And unfortunately, like I said, it is not only PDP that is faced with the crisis. Of course, PDP is the mother political party, yes, the biggest one at that, yes. But other political parties are also faced with crisis. And the thing here is that this president seems to be living in fool's paradise, because if you have all of these governors with you, what are you afraid of? Why don't you conduct a process that would, if you have performed well, the Nigerian people will reward you with a re-election. But he knows that should we have a free and fair election today, should we have an enabling environment where all political parties are, evenly allowed to present a credible alternative to what we have today, the president will be gone on that very day. He will be thrown out. Because this is the worst president that we have had since democracy came into existence in 1999. Since the Fourth Republic, Tinubu is the worst president that we have had. And he claims to be a Democrat. But watch it. What have we observed? All of us know what's going on in our country, where everybody's view is being stifled and all of that. Freedom of expression and all of that is being stifled. People protest in their country and it's classified as a treasonable act. Under his watch, the so-called Mr. Democrat. So we can't pretend about this. The president is directly involved in the crisis. But you see, like I said, we all have to show that this place belongs to us. I personally have stepped in my political progress to this whole struggle. I have committed myself, to ensuring that the People's Democratic Party gets through all of these trials and eventually survive. And we are optimistic as members of the political party, those of us who are genuinely committed to the affairs of our party, we're committed to ensuring that this party survives. If you say the leadership crisis, right, that we're faced with, that it is not an external instigated crisis, we follow through the constitution of our party to conduct a convention, which the appellate court has now said, it didn't recognize.
Yes.
That we didn't follow through the process of the books. The process of the books was followed. It was at the NEC 101 of the People's Democratic Party that convention date was announced. And INEC was present there, right? The date was announced, the venue was announced. INEC was present. And 21 days notification was given to INEC. So that the group who said that they are going to stay in the PDP, the Nyesom Wike group, who said that they are going to stay in the PDP and work against the party and ensure that the party does not produce a candidate, are those who went to court and then attempted to stop that convention, which still held. Having held, we went to the appellate court to now, appeal against the case, which of course has left us where we are now. And the case has, of course, also been appealed up to the Supreme Court. So while we are discussing the issue of reconciliation in the party, we are also intentional to ensure that we do not leave a precedent that will haunt democracy in the future. Because the Supreme Court had already ruled before now that leadership issues of a political party is an internal affair of a political party. It's not justiciable. So if it is not, why then are they now meddling in the affairs of a political party?
So now that the appeal court
system allows the level of corruption that we have today.
Now that the appeal court have given its ruling, what is the next step? Are you planning on going to the Supreme Court, or is this?
No, we've appealed the case already. It's been appealed to the Supreme Court. However, we're also exploring internal angle, because the elders of the party, the Board of Trustees, they have also stepped in, because, like I stated, the appellate court ruled and left the party without a leadership. He ruled against the convention and also upheld the suspension of those who are parading themselves today as a caretaker committee. So the party as it stands does not have a leadership. But of course, because of a system that has allowed this level of rascality, we still see them, this group of people who have been told by the appellate court that their suspension is upheld. They still say they are planning a convention. And that is the level of rascality that we have seen in our system under the watch of President Tinubu. So, yeah, we have appealed it, and we're also exploring the issue of reconciliation, because after all, politics is a give and take affair, right? It's a game. It's not a personal thing. And so we'll find a way where there is, because the only disagreement that we have in the PDP is Nyesom Wike's group's end saying that they are going to stay in the party and work against the party. That is the main disagreement here. And we have never seen it anywhere in the world where one person is a member of two political or working. Yeah, because Nyesom Wike appears to be involved in APC and PDP at the same time. That is the crisis we are faced with in our country. And we just, all of us must, try to contribute our quota to ensure that we save democracy in our country. Because should we miss it, I don't know how we will survive as a country.
Now, Mazi, you talk about reconciliation and trying to put the PDP leadership crisis in order. But the question is, 2027 is before us already. How much more time do the PDP have left? And also, there is a speculation that there is this reconciliation talks going on between the Wike and Makinde camp. How realistic is that? Is that true? Is there a reconciliation talk going on between Makinde and Wike's camp?
No, the reconciliation is between the main PDP and the formerly expelled members of the PDP.
So there is no talk of Wike camps and Makinde camps, any reconciliation?
No, it's not a camp thing. You can liken it to the story in the biblical story about Solomon and the two women who were dragging a baby. One claimed that the baby was hers, the other claimed that the baby was hers, and the wisdom of King Solomon was brought to bear when he now said, okay, can we just divide the baby into two, and one of you will take half and the other will take half? There and then, the real mother showed up. The real mother said clearly that, no, please, let her have the baby. When the child grows up, the child will know his mother. And that's our case here now. These people have said that they will not allow the People's Democratic Party present a presidential candidate. They've done everything to destabilize the party. While we, for instance, proceeded with our convention, we also have given, credence to the process of legality by going to the appeal court to appeal against the judgment of the Federal High Court, where through Justice Motosho, who is, as far as we're concerned, one of the most corrupt judges in Nigeria today. And we went to court, appealed that, and the appellate court, in his wisdom, has ruled not in favor of anybody, but upheld the fact that the institution can save itself, because where there's no leadership, the BOT will take charge. They are the conscience of the party. And having stepped in, they have activated the process of reconciliation. While that reconciliation conversation is ongoing, the KT Turaki SAN, where I belong, and that is our leadership, that is the real PDP, because like I said to you, we went through the books, through the constitution of our party, to get the new NWC that we have today, that the appellate court has now ruled against. So we have gone to the Supreme Court. But like I said, there's already a conversation going on for reconciliation of members, because also the appeal court in Ibadan gave us a window last week, or just this week that has gone by now, that the parties can sit and possibly reconcile where necessary, and they come back to either state that we have reconciled ourselves and state the rules of engagement and all of that as to be tendered in court, so that they can, with the consent of both ends, now give a consenting judgment. Or if we don't agree, they can also give their judgment. So that is on. Between now and Wednesday next week, we expect that a position will be clear, that PDP will be on the ballot. But should it even get to the level where the party is not on the ballot, then history would document it. that Nyesom Wike and his group, as enabled by the president, did what they did and ensured that the PDP was not captured on the ballot. So whichever way it goes, for us as members of the People's Democratic Party, history is being documented.
And now that was going to be my next question, because I was wondering and I was going to ask, is PDP actually going to make it to the ballots? Because we already see other political parties, you know, getting ready for 2027. And like I said, 2027 is already before us. So why other political parties are campaigning, putting things in order, you know, doing consultation, mobilization, PDP is moving from one court to another. It's moving from either appeal courts to Supreme Courts, back to back, leadership crisis. So one would wonder, would PDP even make it at all to the ballots?
Listening to you, I feel that nostalgic or that concern of yours, because Nigerians indeed, with the experience that we are getting from the ruling political party, it is clear that Nigerians are yearning for PDP to come back. So I feel it. Should the PDP not be on the ballot, it will hurt Nigerians. But I want to assure you via this opportunity that you have granted us, that to assure you that the PDP will be on the ballot. Like I stated to you, by this time next week, it would have been clear that our issues would have clearly been resolved and that we're heading, you know, or preparing for election, you know, for 2027.
Now, should PDP not make it to the ballots? I'm just saying, I'm not saying they won't, but I'm just saying, just in case they don't make it to the ballot, do you or will you support the new ADC party?
No, PDP will be on the ballot. But what I would say is that should PDP not produce a presidential candidate, for instance, my position is very clear already. I am obedient. I support Peter Obi. And some of us who are in the PDP, a lot of us, were preparing the platform for Peter Obi to come and become the candidate of the PDP. So should the PDP, therefore, with all the crises that we're now faced with, not produce a presidential candidate? And if ADC could learn from our own mistake, because it doesn't seem to be so, they don't seem to have learned from it. Because 2022 was what got us into this mess, 2022-2023 election. The contestation or the aspiration of one man, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, was what got us here. It was wrong for anybody to have imagined that after a northerner did 8 years, that is Buhari now, that another northerner would take over. It was very wrong. That was where the party made the mistake that got us into the present situation that we found ourselves. So should ADC, that appears to be making a mistake, not zoning its ticket to southern Nigeria, because the southern Nigeria still has 4 years to go, and nobody can change that. Nobody can. ADC must do everything possible to ensure that they give the ticket to Peter Obi. And should that happen, of course, we'll adopt a Peter Obi as our consensus candidate and work with him to ensure, with other political parties, to ensure we save our country from the present ruins that we're faced with.
And now, if Peter Obi doesn't get the tickets, what happens? Because we can also see strong political figures also yearning for same tickets. Amechi is there, Atiku Abubakar is there. These are strong political figures. So a lot of Nigerians have argued that there is this tendency that they might not likely step down for Peter Obi. So now, if Peter Obi doesn't get the ADC ticket, what happens next?
Well, I don't see the ADC making a mistake. But if they make a mistake and they don't give it to Peter Obi, I'm very certain that before he even goes for the primaries, it would have been very clear to him whether the process was going to be fair or not. Because if the process is fair, the only candidate from southern Nigeria today, the only politician in Nigeria today that enjoys called genuine following, organic followership, is Mr. Peter Obi. There's no other politician that can, you know, engage Tinubu today and sack him but Peter Obi. So if that mistake is made, I'm sure that Peter Obi would find his, he will find another platform possibly to achieve.
Mazi, if you're still there and if you can hear me. Mazi, are you there? Now, a lot of Nigerians are worried about the number of states that APC have gotten support from. As of today, APC have gotten 33 states, including the FCT, and it does look like this is a landslide for APC come the next 2027 election. Mazi, if you can hear me, what is your thought in that regard? All right, I think we lost him there. Let's quickly go on this short break and see if we can reconnect back with Mazi. We'll be right back. You're still watching the Spotlights with Chinas on Chieftain Television, and we still have Mazi Nnamdi Irugu speaking with us visually. Mazi, sorry, before we had that glitch, I was asking, with the way APC has, gotten, I think 33 33 states, one would wonder, is this a landslide for APC come the 2027 election?
I love. How can it be a landslide? They just have 33 votes from 33 governors. The people haven't moved with them. Hunger hasn't decamped to APC yet. Neither has insecurity decamped. Neither has all the...
I'm not sure I can hear you, but if you can hear me...
Everything that isn't working has not decamped the APC yet. So, what you will see in 2027...
I can hear you. Mazi, can you hear me?
So, especially...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, please go ahead. I didn't get what you said, so if you can repeat what you earlier said.
No, I laughed when you said because they have 33 governors that they are going to get, is that a landslide? And I laughed because I said they're just 33 votes. We haven't seen hunger decamp yet. We haven't seen insecurity decamp. We haven't seen harsh economic conditions we are faced with in our country decamp yet. When we see all of those things decamp to the APC, then we can possibly now say, okay, maybe they are going to win. The people are going to face their oppressors in 2027. Once the right candidate is given the ticket, if Peter Obi is the candidate that we have for the contest against these oppressors, of course they will be defeated, landslide defeat in 2027. The governors are just only joining the APC to protect themselves or being induced one way or the other, as the story is. Because if under the watch of an acclaimed Democrat, a governor and members of the state assembly were suspended for 6 months, you can then see why the governors are afraid and joining the president.
This same governor you're talking about has also moved to
in
APC.
His party and all of that. So, yeah, I get that. Like I said, when the oppressor, subdues you, they are all, we have governors who appear to be cowards, who appear to be lily-livered, because if I were to be governor and this abysmal performance of the government of the day at the center is going on, I won't say I want to plug my people to the center that is already caused hardship, untoward hardship on the people. This government has failed and failed woefully. And so any sane person or a politician, especially a governor at that, cannot be said to be joining a group of people that have hurt his people. Are
you saying even with the number of governors in APC?
They're just deceiving themselves.
Are you saying even with this number of governors, APC would... if you can hear me, are you saying even with this number of governors,
yes,
APC will not retain power come 2027? Is that what you're saying?
But you can see that even with the governors they have, they are still afraid. They are still doing everything possible to stifle a credible election. They're still doing everything possible to ensure that the process is not free and fair. Look at the new Electoral Act that was passed. The aspect of certificate forgery, the aspect of the yearnings of the Nigerian people for a real-time transmission of results, as already should have been. They did everything possible to ensure that they gave a window for their continued grab it and run it approach of winning election. So if they were comfortable that they now have done so well and have brought in their camp 33 governors, then all that, like a Peter Obi will ask, is let the process, let the votes count. If the votes count in this country, this crop of people will be thrown out because they have failed the people.
Now, I understand that you are trying to say they have just 33 governors and 33 people. But also, we understand also that Nigeria decides who governs. And looking at the growing concern about voters' apathy, especially among young Nigerians, as someone who will be on the ballots, how would you intend to mobilize voters and earn their trust?
We will do our bit. It happened in 2023. Nobody believed that the magic, the tsunami that Peter Obi came with in 2023 could have ever happened. In fact, he won the election in 2023. It's just that the system is rigged against that process. But I hope that they know that the young people are also not going to continue to take the nonsense that they are giving to them. The only thing that would discourage young people from coming out to vote in 2027 is if ADC makes the mistake of not giving Peter Obi the ticket. If Peter Obi is given the ticket, he has the millions of young people that will stake everything to ensure that the victory will not be stolen as it happened in 2023.
Now, Mazi, before we go, talk to us, or if you are to describe the leadership, I beg your pardon, of APC and the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do you think they really deserve to retain power? And what would you even describe about the state of economy under President Tinubu's watch and the state of the nation entirely?
You see, first I would describe Chief Tinubu as an overrated politician. Because clearly when he was campaigning, they said, oh, that he fixed Lagos, that he did wonders in Lagos. But having come to the center, we have seen that the self-acclaimed master strategist could not put any strategy in place for the development of our country. For instance, how can a president, come on board and inflict that kind of pain that he inflicted on the nation on May 29th, 2023? That subsidy is gone. Up to date, there's nothing in place to help salvage that statement. And then we have also seen the abysmal performance, of the president in managing the diversity of the country. Look at the appointments of the president. It's not just parochial around ethnic bias. It's also parochial around those who are more like his cabal, his clique in Lagos and all that. So, and then also this is the same president that didn't recognize that Nigeria is a diverse nation, that Nigeria is a secular state, and now gave this country a Muslim ticket. That is an aberration. And I hope that we realize that until we have a Christian ticket, this abysmal failure of Tinubu's government will continue to haunt this nation. So describing the performance of Tinubu and his group of travelers in the APC is simply to say that these are a group of leeches that have come to suck us dry. And they are doing that by the day. Since APC came to power in 2015, not less than 100 Nigerians are slaughtered daily. Not less than 100. Look at it. The president was lounging, far away in the UK, while Nigerians were slaughtered in Borno and all of that. Under the watch of this government, right, kidnapping has become about the highest thriving business in the country. People are kidnapped, and they are paying ransoms in millions and all that. Trillions of naira go through the process, the system to pay for ransom, and yet they cannot be brought to book. So there's a lot to say that this government has failed in. As far as I'm concerned, all that we need to do as a people is realize that our destinies is in our hands, and we have to take it, and run with it. Because honestly, these people have no plan whatsoever for our common good. If PDP were to come back to power in 2027, one of the things we will do is reverse the subsidy removal thing. Because you have to put that cushioning effect like we did in 2012 when Jonathan was going to remove subsidy. The Shopee was established, and all of those mediums were established to ensure that the effect that the removal of subsidy would have on the economy, the transportation system, and all of that can be controlled and all that. But this one has no plan. And almost 3 years now, still, there's no cushioning effect that it will end borrowing. Has borrowing stopped? This government has borrowed more than any government since 1999, if not more than any government since the formation of Nigeria. So who is fooling who? That's what we need to ask ourselves.
All right. Thank you so much, Mazin Namdi Urebu, for speaking with us. It's been wonderful having you on the show this evening. Thank you very much for your time. And we do hope to speak with you again. Thank you very much. And do have yourself a great evening.
Anytime.
Now, the 2027 election will be conducted not just at the ballot box, but in the courts, within the party structures, and ultimately in the minds of Nigerian voters. The journey has already begun, and we'll be watching closely. That's all for today's edition on Spotlight with Chinaza, and thank you for being with us and for watching. And to our Muslim brothers and sisters, also saying a happy celebration, happy Eid al-Fitr to you all. We wish you a happy celebration, and do stay safe out there. Do have yourself a great weekend. I'll see you again next week, but until then, my name is Chinaza. I say goodbye for now.